Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 6 of the 2021 FIA Manufacturer Series taking place at Brands Hatch GP with the Group 3 cars. And let's get this started by having me ask you if the camera is okay where it's at. I have it mirrored for now. Just let me know in the comments if it's fine where it's at. But anyways, brake balance is at +3 because this car understeers a lot. But bring yourself towards the left, brake just as you reach the 2 board or just as the dotted line on the right starts. So brake right around here, use some of your braking power so you can still have the ability to turn as you're slowing down. Nice and easy through Paddock Hill, then brake before you reach the bridge that is just up ahead. Lots of braking reference markers you can use over here, brake hard for a short while, and gradually bring yourself towards the throttle. Then bring yourself towards the right, brake just before the curb starts, just as you reach the 1 board. Quick burst of braking through here as you want the car to rotate as soon as you can. Stay on the right, look for the 1 board as that is your next braking zone. Brake hard for a short moment, and you want to ease off of the brakes as you're turning in. And just as the new sector starts, that is when you want to start to get on the throttle. Once the car is pointing towards the next section of the track, that is when you can start to fully accelerate. Bring yourself towards the left, look for the 2 board that is on the left as you want to brake just after you pass it. You can also brake just before you reach the photographer on the right. Little bit of braking as this is a high-speed corner, so you want to try to maintain a high speed. Then look for the photographer on the left. He is your braking point, but you want to brake just before you pass him. Quick burst of braking as you want to get on the throttle as soon as you can. Then look for the 1 board, brake before you pass it. Take advantage of the curb that is on the inside of the turn. And you need to be careful through here because touching the grass on the outside will lead you to ending up in Narnia. But anyways, brake before you reach the 1 board, brake hard for a short moment, nice and easy off of the brakes and gradually get on the throttle. Then bring yourself towards the left side of the track, look for the 1 board or the path that is just behind it as that is your final braking point, brake before you pass them and gently get on the throttle while making use of the entire width of the track. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. Alright, for the qualifying session, you only have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time, which means that you'll have 3 chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible. Because the tire wear rate is pretty low, you can pretty much just start to push the moments that you gain control of your car. Slipstream can be kind of useful, especially as you go through the back straights, but it'll only help you a little bit in terms of slipstream qualifying. For the most part, you may want to end up qualifying by yourself, especially in the lower split lobbies. And for a track like Brands Hatch, it's all about momentum. It's all about being in a car that can go through the twisty parts pretty well, which is a majority of this track. So if you're in an understeery car like the Dodge Viper, yeah, good luck, because oh boy, this is not a fun track for cars that are pretty understeery. So handling cars are going to do pretty well over here. Power cars like the Viper, they're not going to do that well. But anyways, it's all about nailing down all these turns because even making a small mistake can lead you to losing quite a bit of time. So if you're planning on doing this race, start practicing like right now. Just go practice because it's all about trying to maximize your speed as you're taking pretty big risks through the back section of Brands Hatch and just trying to get everything nailed down, error-free qualifying, error-free drive, as that's going to play a pretty big role in trying to do well here. But anyways, let's say that you got a qualifying lap done or you messed up along the way. If you have time to complete another outlap before the first timer hits 0, what you can do is press Options, Exit, And in the lobbies, you press enter course, or during the actual FIA session itself, the button will be called qualifying. You'll spawn back at the pit stop with a new set of tires, and you pretty much just want to get yourself out there and try to complete the outlap as soon as you can. Once again, make sure you have enough time to complete the outlap before the first timer hits 0, because the moment that the first timer hits 0, if you haven't crossed the line yet, then you're pretty much out of luck. But anyways, at the end of the day, you'll have at most 3 chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the race strategy. So we are doing 23 laps at Brands Hatch GP with Group 3 cars. Fuel is a ×3 and tire wear is a ×4. So throughout the race, fuel and tire wear gradually become an issue, and you're only given the racing soft tires, so there's no sort of tire requirement here. But to quickly summarize what's pretty much going to happen in this race, the one stop is going to be overall the best strategy, in which you can either decide to go all out or to feel safe as long as you're within someone's slipstream range, which is 3/4 of a second. And some cars can potentially pull off a 0 stop if they are good when it comes to tire management, fuel efficiency, and fuel saving. So the way I'll go about this, I'll talk about the one stop, since the one stop is going to be the more common strategy here. So fuel and tire wear, they slowly become an issue, and it's not like a lot of races where the tire wear or fuel are an issue very early on. Rather, it takes a bit of time for them to gradually become an issue. So pretty much you'll be seeing most cars pit around halfway into the race, so we're talking around laps 11 to 12. Some cars may try to pit a bit earlier to go for an undercut. Some cars may be able to make the tires last a bit longer and pit a bit later, but for the most part, laps 11 to 12, that's when you'll see most cars pitting in. And yes, tire wear and fuel are an issue, so you will be changing tires, and depending if you fuel saved or not, you will most likely have to refuel. So in this case, I decided to not fuel save as much because I qualified pole position. So I decided to go all out just to try to get away from second place, so that I can break the 3/4 of a second slipstream, so that he doesn't get a free tow from me while he's fuel saving along the way. So I'm going to have to refuel quite a bit, but even though I will spend more time refueling, the fact that I went all out should mean that I should have a nice buffer zone so that he's not too close to me when I come out of the pit stops after refueling. So basically, if you qualify pole position, you can try to go all out just to try to run away from everyone, but you need to do it very early on. If the cars behind you are still sticking to you like glue, then you might as well just start fuel saving like they are. And the main method to fuel save is to shift earlier than usual. However, how much you need to short shift will depend on the car that you're in. So some cars, they may be better at fuel saving, whereas others, they're not going to be as good as fuel saving. So you pretty much need to find a point where you can do a bit of short shifting while still maintaining a decent pace with those around you. In terms of tire wear is a bit of an interesting thing, because tire wear, it wears out pretty slowly, and generally speaking, depending on the car that you're in, of course, tire wear slowly starts to become an issue once you reach around laps 10 to 11. So by the time that tire wear is slowly starting to become an issue, you're already thinking about pitting, or well, you're already pitting. So just be a little careful once you're getting ready to pit, because as the tires slowly start to wear out, it does become a bit more difficult to navigate through here without causing significant errors. The pit stop is also just after the final turn, so bring yourself all the way to the right, navigate through this little chicane, and there you go, you're in the pit stop. So I'm going in for a tire change and refuel. I'm refueling towards the diamond because that diamond tells me that considering I stay with the driving style I'm doing, then I need that amount of fuel to be able to finish the race. The pit loss here is actually pretty short, so pit loss just for a tire change is around 10 seconds, and then you have to add a bit more time when you're refueling. So in this race, I think I ended up losing around 15 seconds, so that's actually not that long. And because the pit loss here at Brands Hatch is pretty short, it's going to make the one stop really viable. In fact, it's the better strategy between the one and the zero stop. So in this race, the one stop, I was able to get a 32 minutes and 6 seconds. And in a moment, I'll go ahead and show the zero stop, but I do want to mention about the fuel saving because that is going to be a thing with many people and many cars. So whenever you're within 3/4 of a second between yourself and the next car, you are in their slipstream zone, so you will be getting their toe, which is going to be pretty evident as you go through the back straights. And with that toe, you'll be able to go a little bit faster, which does allow you to be a bit more aggressive with the fuel saving. So you'll see me right now, I'm behind the DBR9, and I'm going to be a bit more aggressive with the short shifting because he's pretty much giving me a free toe. So the slipstream helps me with the fuel saving, the short shifting helps me with the fuel saving as well. And also at Brands Hatch, try not to make any mistakes because it can be easy to even make a small mistake, which ends up being exponentially, severely, negatively affecting your race. I don't know how to word that right. But anyways, so this was from the fuel saving race. Saved up quite a bit of fuel so I don't have to refuel as much. But I do want to make a push, so I'm going to refuel quite a bit past the diamond. So with this extra bit of fuel, I can push a bit more, but I still need to be careful about how much fuel I'm using up because I can possibly run out of fuel if I push way too much. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly show that. But anyways, now let's go on over to the zero stop. So this is where you don't pit at all. This is where you short shift super aggressively, trying to use 4.3% of fuel per lap, and you're also trying to save your tires so your tires don't end up extremely worn out by the time the race ends. So the zero stop is also viable, although only some cars can do it. Your car needs to be good on fuel saving, and needs to be good with tire management to be able to potentially pull off the zero stop. It is a bit slower than the one stop, so in the testing that I did, the zero stop was about 2 seconds slower, but it's still pretty close to the one stop. But is it worth it to go for the zero stop? In my opinion, no. Because one, your pace is going to be noticeably slower because you're fuel saving a lot more. So those behind you or around you, they may pick up that you're probably trying to go for a zero stop because your pace suddenly is a lot slower. So they're going to do whatever they can to try to get around you. And if they try to overtake you in the worst places, then there is a risk of an incident happening, which can potentially ruin your race. Then you also have to micromanage your fuel usage, again using 4.3% of fuel per lap. You may have to do a bit of fuel mapping if your car is mediocre when it comes to fuel. You also have to adjust your brake balance along the way to try to keep your tires in good condition, or just have them just try to survive for the race. It's possible to pull off a zero stop if you're in the right car, but overall it's pretty miserable because you're trying to manage everything, and then towards the end of the race your tires are extremely worn out, you're running out of fuel, you're trying to micromanage this, trying to micromanage that, you're trying to hold up whoever is in the wall stop that is behind you. It's possible to pull it off. It is viable, but it is pretty freaking miserable to do. So the zero stop was able to get a 32 minutes and 8 seconds, so 2 seconds slower than the one stop. Once again, it is viable, but it's going to cause a lot of sadness because you're going to feel miserable by the end of that zero stop run. And at the end of the day, just go for a one stop. That's going to be the more commonly used strategy. Pit around halfway into the race for tires and fuel. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. Overtaking at Brands Hatch is going to be difficult for the most part, like here on the main straight. You want to try to go for the inside line, make the opponent back out of it, because if you go through a turn like paddock hill, good luck, whoever is on the outside line may end up in the gravel. After that, it's going to be a lot more situational through here. It's pretty much going to be a matter of if you're able to get a really good run on the car ahead of you as they get a really bad exit out of the turn. So for example, out of Surtees, if they get a really bad exit and you get the perfect exit, you can potentially try to go for a move as you go down this back straight. But don't expect them to make it easy for you, because here at Brands Hatch, it's really difficult to get a pass done, especially with how narrow this track is. And this back section of the track, yeah, good luck trying to overtake without an incident happening. You're more or less going to be in a single file line, and you pretty much just want to qualify well, as that means that you'll have less battles to deal with, and just try to stay on track, because if you're able to stay on track, you'll potentially get a couple free positions from those making mistakes and ending up in Narnia. But let's go ahead and take a look at the penalty serving zone. There's only one, and it's hanging out over here in Clearway, so the smaller back straight just before the final turn. But that is pretty much it for this guide. Hopefully this guide helps you out, and I'd like to thank you guys for the awesome support, and thank you to Playseat for supporting this channel. So that's all from me. I'm going to sign off now. So this is Mr. CA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.